Hey everybody, I wanted to show you a drum set warm-up that I have been using for several years now to really great results. It's made me think about certain things a lot differently on the instrument, namely paradiddles and polyrhythms. So the warm-up is sort of polyrhythmic in nature. It's kind of loosely inspired by some stuff I've heard people like Vinnie Colaiuta do, Tony Williams, obviously. The premise of it is really simple. It's actually just three stickings that we all know: single strokes, double strokes, and paradiddles. But what makes it extra cool and unique, I think, is not only doing one rhythm of it, but doing eighth notes, triplets, 16th notes, and not stopping there, but going to quintuplets, sextuplets, septuplets, and then 32nd notes. So because of such a wide range of rhythms, you're going to want to start this pretty slow so you don't, get out of your technical ability by the time you get to the 32nd notes, because if you started too fast, those are just going to be, inhuman in trying to play those. But the idea is one measure of eighth notes, one measure of single strokes, one measure of double strokes, two measures of paradiddles. Now the reason I do two of the paradiddles is because the sticking, being a 4-note sticking, technically an 8-note sticking, when you do the alternating, right, left, right, left, left, you're gonna need two measures when you get to some of the more odd time groupings like 3s, 5s, and 7s in order for that to round back out to 1. So I'm gonna go ahead and play it. Again, what I recommend is playing with a metronome on quarter notes, because the quarter note's going to really get you to understand how the polyrhythm fits into the original pulse. I have it set for 85 as the quarter note right now. I also, as an extra little challenge, I like to get my feet involved, and I like to play the feet in some sort of quarter note pattern as well. Really straightforward, simple one would be quarter notes on the bass drum, and then 2 and 4 on the hi-hat foot. So when you put that all together at quarter note equals 85, you get something that sounds like this. These are the eighth notes. Paradiddle. Now we get to the triplets. Again, you're going from slow to fast, obviously, gaining speed with each subsequent rhythm. I actually also like to come back full circle. So what I'll do is I'll play the 30 seconds twice in a row. So I do like the 4 measures of 30 seconds on the way up, and then I do them again, the 4 measures on the way down, so to speak. So then I go from 30 seconds to 7 septuplets to 6s to 5s to 4s to 3s to 2s. That way you come full circle. I always like to do technical exercises that way. That way you're not just going from one direction to the next, but you're coming back to where you started. I think that can be really effective. So what's cool about this, where the polyrhythms come into play, is what I forgot to mention before was I like to do a little orchestration on the drums, right? So on the floor tom and the rack tom specifically. So basically what the way I think of it, and this is all notated in the screen on the side, the way I think of it is I accent the groupings, so 2s, 3s, 4s, so I accent, the downbeat of every 2, the downbeat of every 3, with whatever hand it might be. So for the even numbered ones, like 8th notes, 16th notes, sextuplets, and 32nd notes, it's always going to be a right hand landing on a downbeat. 1, 2, 3, right? When you get to triplets, quintuplets, or septuplets, it's going to alternate a right hand or a left hand. So, right? Or 5s, 7s. So that's basically, I'm just assigning it like all the right hand accents are on floor tom, all the left hand accents are on rack tom. I'm not worrying about like crossing, doing any fancy sticking like that. This is, again, just a warm-up. It's a brain warm-up as much as a technical warm-up, I think. So the other thing, when you get to the paradiddles, that's when the polyrhythms really come into play, because you're getting all sorts of over-the-bar line feels, right? So for instance, since a paradiddle is a 4-note sticking each way, 8 notes if you think of the alternate sticking, when you get to something like 5s, those 4s are not going to line up with the quintuplet feel of 5 for every quarter note. So that's why playing with the bass drum on the quarter notes is really important, because you start to really get to feel how those different 4-note accents. So it's like, same thing with the 7s. Actually, even with the 3s, we start to see that, right? And what's cool about this is all the tom accents you're hearing right now, they're actually spelling out the polyrhythm, the larger picture polyrhythm. So if I were to take those non-tom notes away, the snare drum notes, if I took those away, what we have there is the polyrhythm 3/4. Same thing with the quintuplets. So what you start to hear is the polyrhythm 5/4. And so on with the 7s. One more example with the 7s, sorry. So what you get is, if you take those non-snare notes away, but don't do that right away. Definitely keep them in there, because it is still a technical warm-up, don't forget, that I like to do, but it's just like, getting you more familiarized with where polyrhythms kind of originate, right? So it's a great one to do. I've done it many times. When I got to a gig early, I did it on my steering wheel. Obviously then I don't have a bass drum, at my disposal, but nevertheless, it's a really fun way to get creative with singles, doubles, and paradiddles, so you're not just playing those 3 stickings mindlessly, you're thinking about it a little more technically. It doesn't necessarily, have the most applicable, ways of finding itself into a musical situation always. 5s and 7s are not going to always be the most, unless you're playing in some sort of math rock band or whatever, but nevertheless, it's a really fun way to warm up your brain and at the same time warm up your hands. So what I do is I do 4 different tempos for the warm-up. I do it at 70, starts really slow. Then I do it at 85, the one I just did. I do it at 100, and then I do it at like 110, 112. That's where I start to fall apart personally with the 30 seconds, especially when the paradiddles are implemented. But however fast or slow you want to start to get familiar with it, totally up to you. So I hope y'all can take something away from this and give it a shot. Let me know what you think, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much.